I'll teach you how to take it like a real woman, the billionaire told his SHY virgin wife. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where everything seemed impossible? Where you were forced to make a choice that could change your entire life? Let's see what happens next. Emma sat nervously at the small, round table in the corner of the restaurant, fidgeting with the edge of her second-hand dress. The warmth of the restaurant felt foreign against her cold, trembling hands. She glanced around, noticing how everything seemed so polished, the shimmering glassware, the soft glow of the lights, and the murmurs of well-dressed patrons enjoying their meals. She didn't belong here. Not in this place, not with people like them. Table 7, table 7. She muttered under her breath, her heart racing as she glanced down at the reservation slip in her hand. She was just a waitress, nothing special. And yet, she had promised her best friend, Jenny, that she would at least try to go through with this blind date. The thought of it made her stomach churn, but it was a chance. A chance at something more. Taking a deep breath, Emma forced a smile, trying to calm her nerves. As she looked around, her eyes landed on a sharply dressed man sitting alone at the back of the room. His dark hair was neatly styled, and he seemed completely absorbed in his phone. That must be him, she thought, feeling a sense of relief that she had found the right table. Taking one last shaky breath, Emma stood up and walked over, forcing herself to hold the smile a little longer. "Hi, you must be Kevin." "I'm Emma." "Nice to meet you," she said as confidently as she could muster. The man looked up from his phone, startled. He blinked at her, his eye scanning her face for a moment before he responded, his voice a bit uncertain. Hi, Emma." Emma misread his confusion as shyness. It was a relief to think that he might feel just as awkward as she did. She slid into the seat across from him, folding her hands nervously in her lap. "Oh, I know this is awkward. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little quiet, so don't worry, I can talk enough for both of us." The man opened his mouth to correct her, but hesitated. He glanced down at his phone again, where a message had just popped up. His meeting was cancelled. The message was clear, he had no immediate plans. Something about Emma's earnest smile made him pause, though. She seemed so real, unlike the polished socialites he was used to. He decided to play along. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "Right. Blind dates are something else." Emma laughed nervously, taking a sip of her water. "Tell me about it. Jenny's been trying to set me up for months, but I've been too busy. Work, you know." The man's curiosity piqued. "What do you do?" he asked. "I'm a waitress," Emma replied, fiddling with the edge of her napkin. "Not exactly glamorous, but it pays the bills. Well, most of them anyway." She shifted in her seat. "What do you do?" The man hesitated, but then responded, "I work in tech." Emma smiled brightly, trying to keep the conversation light. "Tech, who? Like coding and apps and stuff? I'm terrible with computers." The man's smile widened, and he leaned back in his chair, studying her with newfound interest. There was something refreshing about her straightforwardness, her lack of pretension. She was so different from the polished women he usually met at corporate events. "I think you'd do fine," he said softly. She smiled, still a little nervous but relieved that the conversation was going smoothly. They continued to talk, and as the night wore on, Emma found herself feeling more comfortable. She shared stories about her shifts at the diner, about how hard it was to make ends meet, and about her dream of one day opening her own art studio. Liam, as he introduced himself, found himself laughing more than he had in months. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and for the first time in a long time, he felt something real. After a few more minutes of conversation, Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced down, her heart sinking as she read the message. "Hey Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7. Looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Her face flashed crimson as she looked up at Liam, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're not Kevin, are you?" The man's smile faltered for a moment, and guilt flickered in his eyes. "No, I'm not." Emma's stomach churned with embarrassment as she stood up quickly, her face burning. "Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I thought you were. I'll just go." She grabbed her coat and hurried toward the door, wishing she could just disappear. Liam watched her go, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling inside him. He had intended to correct her from the start, but now, he found himself wondering if he would ever see her again, and why the thought bothered him so much. Emma, on the other hand, rushed home, her heart still pounding. "What a disaster," she muttered to herself, sinking into the couch. But even as she replayed the evening over and over in her head, a small part of her couldn't shake the feeling that something had happened. Something she didn't fully understand yet, but something that felt real. The next morning, Emma woke up feeling the weight of last night's embarrassment pressing on her chest. She lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling of her small apartment, the cold morning light filtering in through the window. It had been a simple mistake, but somehow, it felt like it was going to haunt her forever. She had sat at the wrong table, thinking she was meeting Kevin, and instead, she had ended up talking to Liam, a man who, she now realized, was nothing like the guy she had been expecting. The way he had looked at her, the way he had listened, was nothing like the men she was used to meeting. It was strange, but somehow, comforting. She sighed and pushed the blanket off, forcing herself to get out of bed. She had work to do, and no amount of embarrassment was going to change that. As she pulled on her faded jeans and a simple shirt, she caught sight of her phone. There was a new message from Jenny. "Are you okay? I'm sorry, I didn't know it was going to be so awkward. Call me if you need to talk." Emma smiled softly, thankful for her best friend's concern. But deep down, she knew there wasn't much to say. It was just one of those things. She wasn't even sure why she was still thinking about Liam. Sure, he was polite, but he was probably just another guy in a sea of many who wouldn't give her a second thought. She put the phone down and grabbed her bag. Today was another day, and she had to keep going. As Emma walked into the diner for her shift, the bell above the door jingled, signaling the start of another busy morning. She smiled at the regulars sitting at the counter, their familiar faces bringing her a small sense of comfort. It was a routine she had come to rely on. Despite the chaos of the day ahead, she found herself thinking about Liam again. There was something about him that had felt different. The way he didn't judge her, the way he had listened when she spoke about her dreams, her struggles. Most people didn't care enough to listen, let alone understand. But Liam had seemed genuinely interested. She shook her head, trying to push the thought away. It wasn't like she'd ever see him again. It was just a misunderstanding, nothing more. The day passed in a blur, with Emma running between tables, taking orders, and refilling coffee cups. By the time her shift ended, she was exhausted. She stood behind the counter, wiping down the surface, when she heard the doorbell jingle again. She didn't look up, assuming it was just another customer coming in for a quick coffee before heading back to work. But then, a familiar voice made her freeze. "Hi, Emma." She looked up, her heart skipping a beat. There, standing in the doorway, was Liam. He was dressed casually this time, wearing a simple grey sweater and jeans. He wasn't the polished businessman from last night, but somehow, he still looked just as intriguing. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said, surprised by the sudden flutter in her stomach. "I know," he replied with a slight smile. "I wasn't sure if you'd want to see me after, well, last night." "I thought we'd both pretend it never happened," Emma said, her voice a little more shaky than she intended. "Yeah, I figured. But I couldn't stop thinking about our conversation," Liam said, stepping further into the diner. "And I wanted to apologize for not correcting you sooner." Emma felt her cheeks flush again. It's fine, really. I made the mistake. It was my fault. Liam shook his head. No. I should have said something, but I didn't want to make things more awkward. And I wasn't sure how to explain everything. Emma looked at him, puzzled. What do you mean? He hesitated for a moment before speaking. I didn't want to tell you who I really was last night, but I should have. I'm not just someone working in tech. I'm actually Liam Parker, the CEO of a company I started a few years ago. It's kind of hard to explain, but I didn't want you to feel like you had to say the things you did to impress me. I just wanted to talk to you, like a normal person. Emma stared at him, her mind trying to process what he had just said. CEO? She blinked, trying to clear the fog in her mind. Wait, you're a CEO? She asked, feeling a little dizzy. Yes, Liam said, smiling awkwardly. I know it probably sounds insane. But when you sat down with me last night, I wasn't just thinking about the date. I was thinking about how different you were. How genuine you were. And I realized I wanted to see you again. Not as some business deal or some corporate guy, but just Liam. Emma felt a wave of warmth flood her chest, but she couldn't help but laugh nervously. So, you're telling me you're actually a millionaire CEO, and you let me talk about how broke I am? That's kind of insane. Liam chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, I guess it is. But I wasn't there to judge you. I was there because I was curious. And honestly, I just liked talking to you. Emma's heart raced as she looked at him, a mixture of emotions running through her. You liked talking to me, she repeated, still trying to make sense of everything. Yeah, he said softly. I think you're amazing, Emma. And I'd like to see you again, if you're open to it. For a moment, Emma didn't know how to respond. Her mind was racing, her thoughts jumbled together. She had thought this was just a silly mistake. But now it felt like something more. Something real. She smiled shyly, feeling a little embarrassed. Okay, coffee. But no more surprises, okay? Liam grinned. No promises, but I'll try. The next few days passed in a blur for Emma. She found herself thinking about Liam more often than she cared to admit. After their awkward but surprisingly honest conversation at the diner, she wasn't sure what to expect. She had agreed to meet him for coffee, but part of her still couldn't believe the turn of events. A CEO, a millionaire, was interested in her, just her, not her status or what she could offer. It seemed too good to be true. But as she prepared herself to meet him again, there was a flutter in her chest, a small spark of hope. On the day they were supposed to meet, Emma was running late as usual. Her morning shift at the diner had run longer than expected, and she had barely enough time to freshen up. She pulled her hair into a messy bun, changed into her best shirt, nothing fancy, just something that wouldn't make her feel out of place, and hurried out the door. The coffee shop Liam had picked was cozy and small, tucked away from the usual busy streets. When Emma walked in, she spotted him right away. He was sitting by the window, his eyes scanning the room, looking calm, as if he'd been there for ages. When he saw her, his face lit up, and he waved her over. Hey, you made it, Liam said, his voice warm and inviting. Emma smiled nervously and sat down, trying to ignore the butterflies in her stomach. Yeah, sorry I'm late, she replied. Work ran longer than I thought. No problem, Liam said, his smile not faltering. I'm just glad you're here. They both sat in a comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their coffee, before Liam spoke again. So, how's everything going? Work, life, everything. Emma hesitated, then let out a small laugh. Same old. It's been a lot of ups and downs, but I'm making it work. She paused, looking at him, then decided to ask the question that had been on her mind since their last meeting. Why did you really want to meet me again, Liam? He set his cup down, his expression thoughtful. I told you last time, he said slowly. I just like talking to you. You were honest with me, and that's not something I get a lot. I've met plenty of people who are nice to me because of what I do or how much I have, but with you, it was different. It felt like you were just you. Emma blinked, surprised by the honesty in his voice. But why me? I'm just a waitress. I'm not. I know who you are, Liam interrupted gently. And that's the point. You're real. You're not pretending to be something you're not. It's refreshing. He paused for a moment, studying her face. And honestly, I like being around you. You make me feel like I'm not just the CEO, you know. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had never been good at accepting compliments, but there was something about the way Liam spoke that made her feel special, like maybe she wasn't as invisible as she often felt. She started, but Liam cut in again. You don't have to say anything. I'm not expecting you to feel anything right away. I'm just being honest with you. And I'd like to get to know you better. If you're open to it. Emma's heart raced, but there was something comforting in his words. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was being judged. She didn't feel like she had to be anything more than herself. Okay, she said softly, her nerves calming a little. I'm open to it. Liam smiled, and it was genuine, warm. They spent the next couple of hours talking, sharing stories about their lives, Emma talking about her dreams of one day opening an art studio and the struggles of living paycheck to paycheck, while Liam spoke about the pressures of running a company and the loneliness that often came with it. As the conversation flowed, Emma realized something she hadn't expected: she was enjoying herself. She wasn't just going through the motions, pretending to be interested or engaged. She was truly enjoying being in Liam's company. And somewhere between the laughter and the stories, she found herself starting to think that maybe, just maybe, there was something real here. As the time passed, the cafe grew quieter, and Emma glanced at her watch, realizing it was time to go. I should probably get going, she said, standing up. But this was nice. Really nice. Liam stood too, a soft smile on his face. I'm glad you think so, he said. Maybe we can do this again sometime. Emma nodded, her heart fluttering again, this time in excitement rather than nerves. I'd like that. She walked out of the coffee shop with a smile on her face, the weight of the world feeling just a little bit lighter. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was on the verge of something new, something that could change everything. Something that didn't have to be perfect, but could be real. The days following their coffee meeting felt like a strange mix of excitement and confusion for Emma. She couldn't quite put her finger on what was happening, but something about Liam was different. He wasn't like the guy she usually met. There was no pressure, no expectations, just a quiet understanding. She found herself looking forward to their next meeting, even though she still couldn't believe how quickly things had escalated. Every time she checked her phone, she found herself hoping to see a message from him, but there was nothing. The silence left her wondering if she had been too quick to believe that something real could come from this. Yet, even with the uncertainty, a small part of her couldn't help but feel that this was something worth exploring. One evening, as Emma was finishing up her shift at the diner, she felt her phone buzz in her pocket. She stepped into the back room and pulled it out, a smile immediately spreading across her face when she saw the message. Hey Emma, would you like to join me for a charity event this weekend? It's at the gallery downtown. I know it's last minute, but I thought it could be fun. The message was from Liam. Her heart skipped a beat, and she quickly typed a response. I'd love to, thanks for thinking of me. As she hit send, she felt a wave of excitement wash over her. A charity event? At an art gallery? It was more than she could have ever imagined. She had never been to something so fancy, and the idea of being at the same event as Liam, seeing him in his world, made her feel both nervous and thrilled. The night of the event arrived faster than Emma anticipated. And she found herself standing in front of her small bathroom mirror, trying to decide what to wear. She had never been to a gallery before, let alone a charity event, so she wanted to look good but not overdo it. She settled on a simple dress, something that made her feel comfortable but also looked nice. When she arrived at the gallery, she felt completely out of place. The art on the walls, the elegant crowd, and the soft murmurs of conversation made her feel like she didn't belong. But then she spotted Liam, standing near a group of people, looking effortlessly confident in his tailored suit. When he saw her, his face lit up, and he excused himself from the group to walk over to her. "Hey, you made it," Liam said, his voice warm. "You look amazing." Emma felt her cheeks flash as she smiled shyly. "Thanks. This place is incredible," she said, glancing around at the paintings. "I don't even know where to start." Liam laughed softly. "Yeah, it can be a bit overwhelming. Let me show you around." He took her hand gently and led her through the gallery, explaining the different pieces of art and introducing her to people he knew. Emma felt a little out of her element, but Liam made her feel at ease. He introduced her to some of his colleagues, and she was surprised at how kind and welcoming they were. As the night went on, Emma began to relax, enjoying the event and the company. She found herself talking to Liam more, laughing at his jokes, and sharing stories about her life. It felt natural, easy, like they had known each other for years, even though it had only been a few days since their first coffee date. At one point, they stepped outside onto the balcony, away from the crowd. The cool night air was refreshing, and Emma took a deep breath, looking out at the city skyline. "I didn't expect this," she admitted, her voice soft. "I've never been to an event like this. It's kind of overwhelming, but it's also amazing." Liam smiled, his expression thoughtful. "I'm glad you came. I know it's not your usual scene, but I wanted to share this with you. It's part of who I am, but it's not all there is. I want you to know the real me, not just the CEO." Emma looked at him, her heart skipping a beat. "I appreciate that," she said, her voice sincere. "I think I'm starting to get to know you. The real you." Liam took her hand again, his grip warm and reassuring. "I'm glad. Because I think you're amazing, Emma. I know we don't know each other very well yet, but I feel something here. Something real." Emma's heart raced, her emotions tangled in a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. She had never felt like this before, not about anyone. Liam's words, his actions, everything about him felt genuine. And for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something more. As the night came to an end, Liam walked Emma to her car, his hand resting lightly on her back. "Thank you for coming," he said softly. "I had a great time tonight." Emma smiled, her heart full. "Me too. I'm glad you invited me." "I'm looking forward to seeing you again," Liam said, his voice warm. "Let's not wait too long." Emma nodded, feeling a flutter in her chest. "I'd like that." As she drove home, Emma couldn't help but replay the evening in her mind. She felt lighter, happier, and more hopeful than she had in a long time. For the first time in a while, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The following weeks passed by in a blur of small moments, each one more meaningful than the last. Emma found herself eagerly anticipating each time she would see Liam. After the charity event at the gallery, things had been different between them. They started spending more time together, not just in the big moments but in the small, quiet ones too. Coffee dates turned into long walks around the city, and evenings spent talking about everything from their childhoods to their dreams. Emma learned more about Liam than she ever expected. His childhood wasn't perfect. Growing up in a family of high expectations had its toll on him. He had to fight for every inch of success, something that made Emma admire him even more. It wasn't just the wealth he had built, but the way he spoke about his journey. He didn't flaunt his success, instead, he was incredibly grounded. Liam, on the other hand, seemed to learn just as much from Emma. He admired her resilience, the way she worked hard to make ends meet, and how she never let go of her dream of opening an art studio. She was real, something he had begun to crave in a world that often felt superficial. One afternoon, as they sat on a bench in the park, Liam turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he began, "I've been thinking a lot about how we've been spending time together. Emma raised an eyebrow, unsure where this conversation was heading. What do you mean? I feel like I need to be honest with you, he said slowly, his eyes meeting hers. I've enjoyed getting to know you more than I ever thought I would. But there's something I need to say. Emma's heart skipped a beat. What is it? Liam took a deep breath before continuing. I didn't invite you into my life just for fun. I know I've kept things light, and I don't want to rush anything, but I feel like we have something real here. I'm not just saying that because you're different from other people I've met, I'm saying it because I want to see where this goes. I want to take this further. Emma felt a wave of emotion rise in her chest. She hadn't expected this. Her mind was racing, and for a moment, she didn't know what to say. She had always been cautious, afraid of getting hurt, but something about Liam made her feel safe, made her feel like it was worth taking the risk. She started, her voice soft. I think I feel the same way. I wasn't sure at first, but being with you, talking with you, it feels different. Real. Liam smiled, his eyes softening. I'm glad to hear that. Because I'm not asking for anything from you that you're not ready for. I just want to know if you'd be willing to take this journey with me. I don't want to rush anything, but I don't want to waste time either. Emma felt her heart swell as she nodded, a sense of calm settling over her. I'm ready to take the next step, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The words felt right, felt like the truth she had been too afraid to admit to herself. Over the next few days, Emma found herself reflecting on everything that had happened since meeting Liam. Her life, which had once been consumed by work and a sense of unfulfilled dreams, was now full of possibility. She was beginning to see her future differently, and it wasn't just about surviving, it was about thriving. It was about taking chances and believing that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. One evening, as they sat in Liam's penthouse, enjoying a quiet dinner, he turned to her with a glint in his eye. So, when are you going to let me see some of your art? He asked, his tone teasing but genuine. Emma smiled, a little surprised by his question. She had shared her dreams with him, but she hadn't really opened up about her art yet. Well, I guess it's time for you to see what I've been working on, she said, standing up and heading toward the small portfolio she had kept tucked away in a corner of her room. When she returned, she handed it to him, feeling a little nervous. These are just sketches, she said, nothing too fancy. Liam carefully flipped through the pages, his eyes lighting up with each drawing. Emma, these are incredible, he said, his voice full of admiration. You've got real talent. Why haven't you shown these to anyone? Emma's cheeks flushed, and she shrugged. I don't know. I guess I've always been too afraid. Too afraid of failing, of not being good enough. Liam reached out, taking her hand in his. You're more than good enough, he said softly. You have something special. Don't let anyone or anything hold you back. In that moment, Emma realized something she hadn't fully understood before. Liam wasn't just a businessman or a CEO. He was someone who believed in her, someone who saw her potential and didn't shy away from it. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was truly seen, truly valued. As they continued talking, Emma's heart swelled with hope. Hope for the future, hope for her art, and hope for what was slowly blooming between her and Liam. It wasn't just about the future they could build together, it was about the person she was becoming, the woman who was no longer afraid to take risks, to step into the unknown and see where it led. As the weeks passed, Emma found herself settling into a rhythm that she had never expected. With Liam by her side, things seemed to be falling into place. She had grown more confident, not just in her relationship with him but in herself. The idea of opening her art studio, which had always felt like a distant dream, now seemed possible. Liam was her biggest cheerleader, always encouraging her to take the leap, to stop holding back. He even suggested she take some time off from her job at the diner to focus on her art, but Emma wasn't ready to make that kind of move just yet. It felt too soon, too uncertain. She still had a long way to go before she could consider herself a true artist. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when everything started to change. Emma was sitting at her favorite corner in the cafe near her apartment, sketching in her notebook as she usually did when she needed a break from the noise of the world. The rain outside pattered softly against the windows, creating a peaceful, calming backdrop to her work. She had been sketching a piece she had been working on for weeks, but something about it didn't feel right. The lines were off, the shading wasn't quite where she wanted it to be, and she found herself frustrated. She closed the notebook, running a hand through her hair, and sighed deeply. As she sat there, lost in her thoughts, her phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from Liam. "Hey, how about dinner tonight? I was thinking we could go to that new restaurant you've been wanting to try. What do you think?" Emma smiled as she read the message. She loved how thoughtful Liam was, always finding ways to make her feel special. She quickly typed a reply. "Sounds perfect. I'll meet you there." That night, as Emma walked into the restaurant, she felt a sense of excitement mixed with nervousness. She had grown used to being around Liam, but there was something about this evening that felt different. It was as though the universe was telling her that things were finally falling into place. She spotted him immediately. He was sitting at a table near the window, looking as handsome as ever in a suit that somehow seemed effortless on him. As she approached, he looked up, and his face lit up with that familiar smile that always made her heart skip a beat. "You made it," he said, standing up to greet her. "You look amazing." Emma blushed, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Thanks," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "This place looks incredible." Liam smiled as he pulled out the chair for her to sit. "I thought you'd like it. It's a little fancy, but I thought it would be nice to do something special tonight." They sat down, and the waiter quickly came to take their order. As they chatted, Emma found herself feeling more relaxed than she had in days. She talked about the art she had been working on, her hopes for the future, and how much she appreciated the support Liam had given her. "I really feel like I'm on the right track," she admitted. "I know it's still a long way to go, but I'm finally starting to believe in myself." Liam listened intently, his gaze soft and understanding. "I've always believed in you, Emma," he said, his voice sincere. "You've got something special, and I know you're going to make your dreams come true." Emma felt a surge of emotion rise in her chest, and for a moment, she didn't know what to say. She had always been afraid to let anyone get too close, afraid that they would see her vulnerabilities and use them against her. But with Liam, it felt different. He made her feel safe, like she didn't have to hide who she truly was. The evening continued with easy conversation and laughter, and before long, dessert arrived. As they finished their meal, Liam looked at her, his expression turning more serious. "There's something I need to ask you, Emma," he said quietly. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" she asked, suddenly feeling nervous again. Liam reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I know this might be too soon, but I want you to know that I care about you. I care about you more than I've cared about anyone in a long time, and I want to be with you. Not just for the short term, but for the long haul. I know we've only known each other for a short time, but I feel like we've built something real, something that's worth holding on to." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this, but she also hadn't expected to feel the way she did. There was something in her heart that told her that Liam was right, that what they had was real. "I care about you too," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I've never felt like this before, not about anyone. And it scares me, but at the same time, it feels right." Liam squeezed her hand, his smile gentle and reassuring. "We don't have to rush anything," he said. "I just wanted you to know how I feel. I'm not going anywhere." Emma's heart swelled with emotion, and she couldn't help but smile back. In that moment, she realized that she had found something worth holding on to, something that was real and true. The future, once full of uncertainty, now felt like a path she was ready to walk down, hand in hand with Liam. As they left the restaurant together, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over her. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The next few weeks brought a sense of calm to Emma that she had never felt before. The uncertainty that had once clouded her future now seemed distant, replaced by a quiet confidence. Liam's words from that night at dinner echoed in her mind, "I'm not going anywhere." It was something she hadn't fully understood at the time, but now, with each passing day, she realized just how much those words meant. She didn't have to carry the weight of the world alone anymore, she had someone by her side. Liam was there for her, not just in the big moments, but in the small, everyday ones that mattered. They continued to see each other regularly, spending weekends together and sharing quiet evenings. Emma had never felt so seen, so valued, and she was beginning to let go of the walls she had built around herself over the years. However, as things started to settle, Emma couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. The more she got to know Liam, the more she realized just how different their worlds were. She was still working at the diner, scraping by, and while her art was slowly beginning to take shape, she hadn't made any real progress towards opening her studio. Meanwhile, Liam was a CEO, constantly moving in high society circles, attending charity galas, and building his empire. She knew their lives weren't the same, and sometimes it felt like they were living in different worlds. One evening, as they sat together in the small park near her apartment, Emma couldn't help but voice her worries. "Liam, sometimes I feel like I don't belong in your world," she admitted, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "I mean, you have everything, and here I am, just a waitress trying to make ends meet." Liam looked at her, his expression softening. "Emma, none of that matters to me. What matters is you. I care about you, not your job or your past. I want to build a future with you, a future where we're both happy. Don't let these things hold you back." His words were comforting, but Emma still struggled to believe them. She had spent her whole life feeling like she didn't belong, like she wasn't good enough. The idea that someone like Liam, someone with so much success, could want a future with her seemed impossible. "I know," she said quietly, staring at the ground. "But I don't know how to let go of the fear, Liam. The fear that I'm not enough, that one day, you'll realize you deserve someone better." Liam reached for her hand, lifting her chin gently so that she was looking into his eyes. "Emma, there is no one better. You are more than enough. You're everything I need and more." His words were sincere, and for the first time in a long time, Emma believed them. It wasn't about the money, the status, or the image. It was about who they were together, and that was enough. But as the days passed, Emma's insecurities lingered. She hadn't told Liam the full truth about her art, how she had been working on a collection of pieces that she dreamed of showcasing one day. The idea of opening her own studio still felt like a far-off dream, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to take that leap. One evening, as they were sitting in Liam's apartment, he turned to her with a soft smile. "I've been thinking about your art lately," he said, his voice casual. "And I think it's time you show it to the world. You've got something incredible, Emma. Don't hide it anymore." Emma froze. She hadn't expected him to bring it up. "I don't know," she replied, her voice hesitant. "I mean, I'm not ready. I don't have enough pieces, and what if people don't like it? What if they don't think it's good enough?" Liam's expression softened, and he reached for her hand. "Emma, you're never going to feel ready. You have to take the leap, no matter how scared you are. If you don't, you'll never know what could happen. But I believe in you. I believe in your art, and I believe in you." His words echoed in her mind, and for the first time, Emma felt like she could do it. She could take the leap. She didn't have to wait for the perfect moment. The only thing standing in her way was her own fear. "Okay," she said quietly, a small smile tugging at her lips. "I'll do it. I'll show my art." Liam's eyes lit up with pride. "That's what I want to hear." The next few days were filled with preparation. Emma spent hours sorting through her sketches, selecting the pieces she felt were ready to be shown to the world. She spent the entire weekend getting everything ready for her first art exhibit, with Liam by her side, helping her in any way he could. It wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt, moments when she thought about giving up. But Liam was there, always encouraging her, always reminding her that she had something special. The night of the exhibit, Emma stood nervously at the entrance of the gallery, watching people trickle in. She had never imagined this moment would come, but here she was, standing in front of her own art, surrounded by people who were genuinely interested in what she had created. Liam was right beside her, offering his support and cheering her on every step of the way. "You did it," he whispered as they watched people admire her work. "I knew you could." Emma felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This was the beginning of something new, something she had once thought was impossible. And with Liam by her side, she knew she could accomplish anything. The art exhibit was a success, far beyond anything Emma could have imagined. People came, they admired her work, and for the first time, she felt like her dreams were finally becoming a reality. Liam stayed by her side the entire night, offering encouragement and support, even though he knew that this was her moment. He had been there from the beginning, pushing her to take the leap and believe in herself, and now, seeing her art on display, he couldn't help but feel proud. As the night went on, Emma found herself talking to people she never would have thought she could have a conversation with: a gallery owner who wanted to discuss a potential collaboration, an artist who was interested in mentoring her, and even a local philanthropist who was willing to fund her studio. It was everything she had dreamed of and more. And as the night came to a close, Emma realized something she hadn't fully understood before: she was no longer the girl who was just trying to survive. She was building a future, one piece at a time. After the exhibit, Liam and Emma walked outside into the cool night air. The city was quiet, and the streets were illuminated by the soft glow of the streetlights. They walked in silence for a few moments, the weight of the night's success sinking in. "I can't believe this is happening," Emma said softly, her voice full of awe. "It's like a dream come true." Liam smiled, his gaze soft as he looked at her. "It's not a dream," he said gently. "It's all you. You did this, Emma. You made it happen." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had worked so hard for this, but there was still a part of her that felt like she wasn't worthy of it. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said quietly. "You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." Liam stopped walking and turned to face her. "I didn't just believe in you," he said, his voice sincere. "I care about you. I care about you more than I've ever cared about anyone. And I think you know that by now." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had known, of course, that Liam cared about her. But hearing him say it so openly, so honestly, made her realize just how much she had come to care for him too. She had spent so much of her life pushing people away, afraid to let them see her vulnerabilities. But with Liam, it felt different. He didn't just see her for who she was in the moment, he saw her for who she could be. "I care about you too," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Liam smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "I know," he said softly. "And that's why I want to ask you something." Emma looked up at him, her heart racing in her chest. "What is it?" she asked, suddenly feeling nervous. Liam took a deep breath, his hand reaching for hers. "I know we've been through a lot together already, but I want to take the next step with you," he said, his voice steady but full of meaning. "I want to build a life with you, Emma. A real life. Not just as a couple, but as partners. I want to support you in every way possible, and I want you to know that you're not alone anymore." Emma felt a rush of emotions: excitement, fear, happiness, and a sense of relief all at once. She had never imagined that her life could change so dramatically in such a short amount of time. But now, with Liam by her side, she realized that everything she had been afraid of didn't matter anymore. She had found someone who truly saw her, who truly believed in her. "Liam, Emma began, her voice catching in her throat. She didn't know how to put everything into words, how to explain how much this meant to her, how much he meant to her. But Liam, sensing her hesitation, squeezed her hand gently. "You don't have to say anything," he said softly. "I just want you to know that I'm here for you. Always." Emma's eyes filled with tears, and she reached up to touch his cheek, her heart full. She had never imagined a life like this, a life where she was truly loved, truly valued. And with Liam, she realized she didn't need to have everything figured out. She just needed to take the next step, with him by her side. "I'm ready," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Liam's smile was all the answer she needed. He leaned down, gently kissing her forehead, a soft promise of everything they could be together. As they stood there, in the quiet of the night, Emma knew that this was only the beginning. The journey ahead would have its challenges, but she was no longer afraid. With Liam by her side, she could face anything. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The days that followed were filled with a sense of excitement and anticipation as Emma and Liam began to build a future together. Each day brought new opportunities, new moments of connection, and more laughter. Emma had never imagined that life could be so full of possibility. She had once believed that the best she could do was survive, but now, she was learning that she could thrive. With Liam by her side, she was no longer afraid to dream bigger. She had been working hard on her art, and soon, she was able to open a small studio space. It wasn't much, but it was hers. She had spent hours transforming the space, filling it with her sketches, her paintings, and her dreams. Liam had been there every step of the way, supporting her and encouraging her. He had even helped her with the logistics of setting up the space, using his business connections to make things happen. He had told her from the beginning that she didn't have to do this alone, and now, with her studio finally open, she realized how much that support had meant to her. One evening, as they sat together in her studio, the soft glow of the hanging lights casting shadows on the walls, Liam turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he said, his voice gentle, "I've been thinking a lot lately about how much you've grown. You've come so far from where you were when we first met." Emma smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. "I never thought I'd be able to make something like this happen, but here we are." Liam reached over and took her hand in his. "You're the one who did it, Emma. You're the one who believed in yourself, even when you didn't think you could." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest as she looked into Liam's eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you, though," she repeated. "You were the one who showed me that I didn't have to be afraid of taking risks. You taught me that it was okay to believe in myself." Liam smiled, his eyes filled with love. "I just wanted to remind you of something," he said. "You're amazing, Emma. You've always been amazing. I'm just lucky I get to be a part of your journey." Emma's heart skipped a beat, and she found herself unable to speak for a moment. She had never truly believed in herself before meeting Liam, but now, she felt like she was finally starting to understand what it meant to be truly seen, truly loved. "I'm lucky too," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm lucky to have you in my life." As the weeks turned into months, Emma's art began to gain recognition. She received offers for more exhibitions, and people started to take notice of her unique style. Liam continued to be by her side, supporting her in every way he could. He helped her with the business side of things, showing her how to manage her finances, how to handle contracts, and how to grow her brand. It wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. And with Liam's encouragement, Emma realized that she was capable of so much more than she had ever believed. She had always felt like she was destined for something greater, but she had never known what that something was. Now, with her art gaining recognition and her studio thriving, she realized that her something greater was exactly what she had always wanted, a life filled with purpose, creativity, and love. One evening, after a particularly successful exhibition, Emma and Liam found themselves sitting on the rooftop of their apartment building, watching the city lights twinkle below. Emma rested her head on Liam's shoulder, feeling a sense of peace that she had never known before. "I can't believe how far we've come," she said softly. "It feels like just yesterday I was working at the diner, dreaming about this." Liam smiled, his arm wrapped around her. "I told you from the beginning that you could do it. All you had to do was believe in yourself." Emma sighed contentedly, feeling like everything had finally fallen into place. "I do believe in myself now," she said, her voice full of conviction. "And I couldn't have done it without you." Liam kissed the top of her head, his voice low and sincere. "You did it, Emma. I'm just glad I could be there to watch you grow. As they sat there together, surrounded by the beauty of the city, Emma realized that this was only the beginning. There were still so many dreams to chase, so many goals to achieve, and so many more memories to make. But for the first time in her life, she felt ready. Ready to face whatever came next, with Liam by her side, and with the belief that anything was possible. And as the night stretched on, Emma knew that she had finally found the life she had always dreamed of, one filled with love, art, and the courage to keep moving forward. Millionaire stories often inspire us to believe in the power of dreams, hard work, and unexpected connections, and this one is no different. Emma, a waitress with big dreams of becoming an artist, finds herself on a life-changing journey when she meets Liam, a millionaire CEO. Their relationship starts with a misunderstanding but quickly blossoms into a partnership built on support, trust, and love. As Emma pursues her passion for art, Liam stands by her side, helping her believe in her potential and take risks she never thought she could take. This millionaire story follows Emma as she opens her own art studio, receives recognition for her work, and learns to embrace the future, knowing that with Liam's support, she can achieve anything. In this emotional journey, we see how a seemingly chance meeting can lead to a transformative relationship that changes both lives. As the story unfolds, Emma faces her fears, builds a career from her passion, and discovers that her dreams are not as far out of reach as she once thought. The millionaire stories we hear often focus on wealth and success, but this one is about the deeper connections that define true success, the relationships that support us in becoming who we're meant to be. It's a tale of finding love, purpose, and the courage to pursue your dreams, no matter where you start. If you've ever wondered how millionaire stories can inspire your own journey, this one is proof that anything is possible when you believe in yourself and the people who believe in you. This is a perfect example of how millionaire stories aren't just about money, they're about the human connections that make life truly rich. 1. Two main characters, Emma and Liam, sitting across from each other in a cozy, upscale cafe. Liam is dressed in a sharp, dark suit, his face calm but attentive, exuding confidence. Emma, wearing a stylish but modest outfit, looks slightly nervous but genuinely engaged in the conversation. The camera captures a soft, warm light reflecting off their faces, highlighting their contrasting worlds, Liam's polished persona and Emma's humble, hopeful nature. There's an underlying tension as both characters feel the weight of their first real conversation, with mutual curiosity and the potential for something deeper lingering in the air. The shot is framed in a close-up to capture the emotional connection beginning to form between them. 1, 2, 2. Emma working her shift at a bustling diner, dressed in a retro-style waitress uniform. Her apron is neatly tied, but her face shows signs of exhaustion as she greets customers. The camera focuses on her as she moves with efficiency, but her eyes occasionally wander, revealing her longing for something more than this life. The background shows the classic diner atmosphere, neon lights flickering, a mix of customers chatting and eating. Emma's expressions reflect both resilience and quiet sadness, hinting at the dreams she holds close to her heart. A close-up shot captures her face as she adjusts her apron, her hands trembling slightly from the fatigue of a long shift. 2-3. Liam in his high-rise office, sitting at a sleek desk made of darkwood, looking over a series of financial documents. He's dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, his posture straight, and his expression intense yet thoughtful. The camera focuses on his face as he runs a hand through his hair, a subtle sign of the weight he carries as a CEO. The office is modern, with large windows showing a panoramic view of the city skyline. A close-up shot shows his hands gripping a pen, poised to sign a document, with his eyes reflecting a sense of responsibility and solitude, hinting at the loneliness of his high-powered career. 1-4. Emma and Liam walking side by side through a city park during golden hour, with soft sunlight casting a warm glow on their faces. Emma is dressed casually but stylishly, her hair blowing gently in the breeze, and Liam is in a relaxed button-down shirt and jeans. The camera focuses on their body language, capturing a comfortable, growing connection between them. They're laughing together with a natural, easy chemistry as they share personal stories. The background features lush greenery and a tranquil path, highlighting the contrast between their busy lives and the peacefulness they're beginning to share. The scene emphasizes their chemistry and budding emotional connection. 1, 2, 5. Emma working in her small, cluttered art studio, wearing an old t-shirt and jeans, with paint stains on her hands. The camera captures her concentration as she's deep into painting, her face showing both determination and frustration. The studio is cozy, filled with unfinished works and sketchbooks. There's a moment of quiet stillness as Emma steps back from her canvas, looking critically at her work. The light is soft, filtering through a small window, casting gentle shadows on her focused face. Her expression reflects both her passion for art and the doubt that lingers about her abilities. The shot focuses on her face, capturing the vulnerability of pursuing a dream in a world that doesn't always seem to notice. 2-6. Liam supporting Emma at an upscale art gallery, standing beside her as she nervously introduces her paintings to guests. He's dressed in a sharp suit, his calm and encouraging demeanor standing in stark contrast to Emma's nervousness. The camera shifts between their faces, Liam's reassuring smile and Emma's wide-eyed, uncertain expression as she nervously talks about her work. The lighting is dim but sophisticated, creating an atmosphere of elegance, while the background shows art collectors and potential buyers admiring the pieces. Liam's presence is calming, a silent show of support as Emma faces her fears and steps into a new world. 1, 2, 7. Emma standing alone outside her art studio at night, rain lightly falling around her. She's wearing a simple coat, her hair slightly damp as she gazes at the building with a mixture of doubt and fear. The camera captures her vulnerability, her body slightly hunched, arms wrapped around herself, contemplating the leap she's about to take. In the distance, Liam stands under the awning of a nearby cafe, watching her from afar. The contrast between her uncertainty and his quiet confidence is palpable, highlighting her emotional struggle. The shot is intimate, focusing on Emma's expression as she takes a deep breath, preparing for the unknown. 2, 1, 8. Emma and Liam standing together on a rooftop at sunset, their hands intertwined, looking out at the city skyline. The light is warm, the sky a mix of soft oranges and purples. They both have relaxed expressions, Emma's face filled with contentment and a quiet sense of fulfillment. Liam stands beside her, looking at her with affection, his presence a reassuring anchor. The shot is cinematic, focusing on their connection and the calm they found in each other. The final frame captures them standing together, the promise of their shared future glowing in the backdrop, hinting at the happiness they've built together. 1, 2.